Welcome back to another episode of the MiniBrute 2 Cookbook tutorial series that I'm doing, where we go through the MiniBrute 2 Cookbook. We try out all the recipes, see how they taste. Today's episode is the West Random by J.B. Arthus. It's a modularish bleep and bloop to impress your friends. Tweak the VCO1 frequency modulation and VCO2 tune knobs to change the color of the sound, and the ADSR envelope times to shape the modulation differently. Kind of sounds like this. I'm going to use a sequence to keep it going so we can kind of hear. Now, that's using one of the pre-built sequences in there. This one's very interesting and very unique-ish in a way, you know? As always, let's start from scratch. Get back to the default patch. Boop. There's a guy local to me that's selling another one of these, and I'm really having to tell myself no. Make sure that your gate and your loop selectors are on gate and once, not loop. As always, we start from a neutral patch. So let's get some tones going so we can deal with something. We're just going to use a triangle wave today with nothing happening. Let's open that filter. We're going to get open a higher register. The resonance we're going to adjust later. So let's just, just so we can hear what's happening for now, right? Now, the core of this sound is the modulation of what's happening. So we're not going to do much of anything with anything other than, we're going to do a lot of patch-based stuff today. So what we're going to start off with is using the ADSR envelope to control the control voltage of the VCA, voltage-controlled attenuator, I believe is what the A stands for. We're going to need a little bit of decay, a little bit of sustain, a little more release. Okay. We're going to use, on the AD envelope, we're going to need to bring the decay up, set it to trigger mode. And now when we play notes, it'll play the exact same length note every single time, no matter how you hold it down. That's the difference between gate and trigger. Gate is, it's open as long as that note's being held. Trigger is, here's gate. And then trigger is, when you hit it, it only triggers once, right? So, we need it like that, though, so we can control exactly how long each note rings out for, right? Now, the next thing that we're going to need to do is modulate how this is going to work, okay? Okay, so we use the ADSR output into the control voltage for the voltage-controlled amplifier, or attenuator, whichever one it is. But what are we actually trying to do with this? Well, we're going to use it to modulate the frequency linearly using the linear FM, right? Sounds like this. Nothing yet, because we haven't turned the FM yet up. And it doesn't seem like it's doing a whole... the FM is working, right? But the linear FM is not really doing anything. Well, that's because this is control voltage, not source voltage, right? So because there's nothing going into the inputs of VCA, nothing's going to happen. So if you ever wondered why something's not working, this is probably why, right? So the input to the VCA is going to be the output from VCO2. Now we have some tone. Now we have some... If we turn this to gate, we can hear how long it takes for the ADSR envelope to affect the frequency modulation now. Right? Now, we don't want quite that much. We're just going to be a lot less. Also, we're supposed to be in trigger mode, but I put it in gate just so we could hear what's happening. Okay? Now, this is where we get to start having some fun, because VCO2 now is being used to modulate the frequency of VCO1, right? So, put VCO2 up an octave or so. It's not important. It doesn't really matter. Get it close-ish, okay? Now, we're going to get even deeper. What we're going to do now is we're going to change the pitch of VCO2 based on what happens with attenuator 1. But attenuator 1, instead of it being the regular pressure, as it is set to be on the MiniBrute 2S, or I believe with the other version of it, it's like an aftertouch. Instead of leaving that to be pre-wired like that, what we're going to do is we're going to take LFO2 and put that into attenuator 1. So now the pressure doesn't really have anything to do with anything. Like it doesn't really affect anything in that sense. But now the LFO2 is getting to change the pitch of VCO2, which then modulates the frequency of VCO1 based on when the ADSR envelope allows it to. You understand? So we can adjust how much that is with this knob now, the attenuator 1, which is pre-wired to the cutoff using the pressure. But since we've changed it from going to the cutoff to the pitch of VCO2, we're able to get these really kind of unpredictable sounds, you know what I mean? So then if you put that with your sequence, any sequence, doesn't really matter. And then you go through and adjust your I want a different pattern. Let's try this one. How about this one? Yeah, there we go. So then at this point, you know, now it becomes a matter of, well, how do you want it to sound? Right? So with a little bit of metalizer, a little filter adjustment, some brute factor. Now we get this interesting kind of sound, right? And we can adjust the modulation with the ADSR envelope. So there you have it. There's West Random, and it is quite random. It's quite fun to play with. You can get some real interesting stuff out of it. It's another great one for demonstrating, you know, what can be done with the synth. This is one that you can really just play around with and just like, ooh, what does this do? How does that work? What's happening here? You know what I mean? So as always, experiment, play around, have fun, be a good person, and you know, we'll see you in the next one.